Craft beer industry responding to COVID-19 and racism in only the way craft beer can. Welcome to Brewmance on the Radio, Arizona's only craft beer radio show. Each and every week, we gather around a beautiful local craft beer. And let me tell you something, I'm super excited about this. I haven't even had it yet, but I've had some of the other beers and I'm super excited. Rob, tell us what it is.
The Beer Research Institute's 480G.
Yeah, 480G.
So 480 representing obviously local. They are, what are they technically? They're kind of like Mesa Gilbert, like right on the line.
Yeah, Stapling the 60.
Yeah, Stapling the 60. Fantastic place. We actually went over there this week. We'll talk to you more about that coming up here on the show. We met with Matt. We met with Brandon. What a phenomenal group of guys. What a phenomenal place. The Beer Research Institute, sometimes just called BRI. And Mike, I love this one. It's a West Coast style IPA. And 480G, it's an homage to 90s hip hop.
It's got 90s hip hop written all over the can. I mean, it says gangster hop advisory, excessive content. And you see it on the video right there on Facebook and on the YouTubes as well.
But here's the thing. Let me tie this into what you just said.
Okay.
As you're taking a sip of your beer there. The inclusive part of craft beer is what we love about it. Like, we literally would drink a beer with anybody. We're like, let's have a beer and have a conversation. That's what life's all about.
And that's why it was great getting over to BRI, because they encompass this. We were talking about the Black is Beautiful beer that has been recreated all around the nation. And it's basically trying to get inclusivity. Yes, inclusive with the Black community. Say, look, the Black community is underrepresented here in the craft beer world. Come one, come all. Trust us. We want to sit down and have a beer, hang out. We don't care what you look like. And I like the initiative because the initiative wasn't co-branded by any organization at all. Any organization where one might disagree with the other later on down the line. Craft beer stood up and said, you know something, let's just celebrate Black communities all across the nation. Let's make a really good beer. And let's hope that is inviting enough so they become a bigger part of our culture. And I respect that. I think it's fantastic.
And that's kind of how it works, right? You open your doors and say, maybe you don't drink this kind of beer yet, but we want you to come try it. Come hang out, because we want you to come hang out. Because if you go to a beer festival, you might get the impression, or if you read beer blogs or something, or notice who posts about craft beer online, you're going to think they're dudes who look like us. Mm-hmm. A lot of probably 40-ish, 30-ish, maybe late 20s white dudes.
Bearded white guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. We get the hipster kind of knock. But, you get to a point where drinking the Coors or not that there's anything wrong with that. We just have decided that we want something that tastes a little bit different, a little bit maybe better for us. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how we came together as a community. And the more breweries that opens, there are now over 100 in the state of Arizona, 75, 80-ish in the valley. We gravitate towards those places because it's about quality. It's about drinking something together that tastes better, because life is too short to drink crappy things and eat crappy food.
It is. And the BRI, the Beer Research Institute, which we're enjoying their 480G West Coast style IPA, and it is fantabulous, by the way.
8% IBA.
Mm-hmm. Now, the great part about going over there is they get it. They talked to us about Brewmance, and they said, "What was your core? Why did you start this? What are you guys all about?" And they knew they've seen our episodes, they've listened to our episodes, they understand who we are. But why? What's your why, essentially? And the why, essentially, was we believe that anything can be discussed over a beer. We believe that all gaps can be at least, I don't know, maybe shrunk a little bit with beer. Maybe not everything solved, but we believe that a discussion can be had over beer. And they about lit up. That's exactly what we are. We are a place for people to come. We're like the clubhouse. We're a place for people to come and just hang out and enjoy and have an atmosphere and a vibe that's welcoming. And you can discuss with, I don't care what political ideologies you have, what background you are, you can sit down and have a beer at BRI. And that was exactly what we founded the Brewmance for.
And when you really think about it, too, what Matt at BRI said, the Beer Research Institute, says, we wanted to create a place where you can talk about the things you don't talk about at the dinner table. So whether it's politics or religion or, anything you're not supposed to talk about, it's like you have to have a place to be able to discuss those ideas. And we ended up talking about how people get together, especially the founding of this country, because based on their beer titles, fits right into some of the people that we talk to too. They have a beer called Taxation is Theft, which I love the beer title. So
it's a tea-based beer, which is fabulous.
It ties in,
right? So much sense.
And we started talking about how the country came together. Really, it was a bunch of, now granted, it was a bunch of landowning white dudes, but they created this amazing country founded on this document we obviously call the Constitution, but they were getting sloshed while figuring out how to make this happen because there were states that disagreed and there were delegates of those states that didn't want to sign. So they had to figure out how to get all of these strong-willed people to get their signatures on this document so that their states would adopt it to create the United States, the 13 colonies at the time. And then Matt said, well, you can go even before that. The whole idea of creating the country, the revolution started in taverns and pubs.
At the tavern, he's like, hey, you know what? I think we can take these guys.
Yeah.
We can totally
Sam
take
Adams
these
was
guys.
a scallywag out there.
That's right. We can take them. And of course you think you can take anybody, right? I mean, really think about this. They were drinking 10 and 11, 12% beers.
At
they were
noon.
drinking meat because water was dangerous at the time. Water was contaminated. They were drinking alcohol. So they were probably 4 or 5 deep before they were done with work.
Basically, everyone in those days was a functioning alcoholic.
Yes. I mean, really.
Drinking cider all day.
Or wine, yeah.
Mead, whatever.
And that is the founding of our nation, because when you do get that much in you, you think you could take on anybody, including apparently the most powerful military in the world at the time.
Yeah, sure. And maybe that's not the game now, but the game is you can at least have that conversation.
Yes.
And this thing right here, this beer, is the centerpiece of those conversations. And that's why we love it. And that's what Mike and I found is that when we cracked open beers or we poured beers, we found that we were having those discussions you're not supposed to have. But through that, we found this like amazing friendship that we still have. And it's parlayed itself into an afternoon show here on 550 KFY as Russell and Hunter as well. And that all really started, it started over a burger first. That's how our first meeting.
It started, yes.
And then we kept hanging out. We kept drinking beers. We kept having these really cool conversations. And I think that that's what BRI, Beer Research Institute, and the craft beer community, particularly in Arizona, gets is that, these are community places, much like the olden days of the tavern where people in Boston or wherever, I only say that because, revolution started right there. You know what I'm saying? That's
there you go. If you bring a Tom Brady reference in here, I'm going to throw this beer at you. No, I won't throw the beer at you.
Yeah, but it's too good of a
throw
beer.
Something else at
corn, you might throw it at me.
Throw my phone at you.
Right. But that was it. It was like you just have these cool conversations. In the case of the revolution was they created enough of a community to at least explore the idea that we can be governed better. We can have taxation with representation rather than at the time taxation without representation.
So it is the craft beer industry that is still pulling through with that same mantra all the way through to today from our founding. And I love one of the things that Matt said. It was that, in the restaurant world's cutthroat. Somebody's doing the same thing you're doing about a mile away. It's, I'm going to take somebody out. No. There's people doing beer down the road. Oh, okay. Hey, let's see if we can help them out. Let's see if they've got enough this or enough this supplies, or let's go introduce ourselves. Let's go have a beer and see what they're all about. Because the great part about this, you make a turkey sandwich, a turkey sandwich is a turkey sandwich. There's not a lot of variations of a turkey sandwich, okay? Or a plate of nachos, except for Saddle Mountain nachos. Oh, by the way, and Matt at BRI introduced us to a French dip with green chilies.
Oh, man.
Stop it.
Game changer.
Stop it. But you can make the things pretty. You might do a little variations.
Sure.
Beer is not like that. Like a West Coast IPA is a West Coast IPA, but everyone makes a different West Coast IPA.
Yes.
Everyone does. Everyone makes a different Imperial Stout. There's differences in everything that you do, so you are unique. You sell beer, but you are unique. And this community gets along because of that, because they're not competing so much as with the same product. They're all competing with unique products. They're just now making an atmosphere, making a vibe. That's the differentiator.
And they've created a community within a community, if you will. And that's what I think that we're going for, whether this is the Black is Beautiful beer or we want to welcome more people that don't look like us and sound like us into the conversation, because this is that centerpiece in which I can get to know more about you, where you stand, how you see the world, because that helps my view. It broadens my perspective. Same for you. Like that's what we want ultimately. And I think the craft beer community is one of the best at that. Yeah. So we'll continue this conversation on Arizona's only beer radio show, the Brewmance, on the radio here in just a second. Another local story for you, a big beer coming out early this year in the year of COVID. That's next here on 550 KFYI. It's the year of COVID. That means we've got to change things. We need some good news. We have some for you. If you're a fan of pumpkin, here on Brewmance on the radio, Arizona's only beer radio show. Mike Russell over there, Rob Hunter right here. Thanks for hanging out with us here on 550 KFY. So what we do is we bring you into the beer community. That's what we do here on Saturday nights from 6 to 7 on 550 KFY. And we feature a beer of the week every week, which we will review for you later on during the show. Mike, what's our beer this week?
It is BRI, that's the cool kids call it, the Beer Research Institute 480G West Coast IPA. A little salute to 90s hip-hop. And I'm already saying I like it, but we'll get to a review a little bit.
Now, the first time I had this, I'll save this too. I will save this as to why it stood out to me. So we'll do that with the review coming up here in just a few minutes. But
what about the pumpkins?
So there is some other good news. Pumpkin. Are you a fan of pumpkin beers?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am. I am. Sometimes it's hard to admit, but I'm telling you, man, I love October. Let's go. Bring them pumpkin beers. I'm in.
So we're 2 months from October.
Yes.
But Four Peaks, who has their pumpkin porter, which is one of the big seasonal sellers.
Fantastic.
And it usually comes out like end of September, and they push it through October. Maybe you have like a 2-month window where you can buy it. They've extended it this year. They've already got it coming out because COVID. And I think Zach Fowle, who is their communications guy over there, I think it was him who said, he was asked the reason why, he goes, because 2020 sucks. Summer 2020 has sucked. He said,
okay, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt here. I really will. And I hope that they're doing that because of COVID and we just need a little smile. And yes, I do love their pumpkin porter. I think it's fantastic. I like the other pumpkin beers. I do. It's just, I'm a pumpkin guy. One of my favorite pies is pumpkin pie. I love the spice. I love how it tastes. And whatever, sue me. This is who I am. Take my man card if you want to. But I know everybody rips on like the pumpkin spice lattes and whatever and say that's the pumpkin spice latte of the craft beer world. But pound sand, I like it. Tastes good to me. I'm drinking it.
And nothing wrong with it. And it's so funny that we have these attachments to what manly drinking is and what it isn't. We label it. I'm like, but who cares? I don't really care what you label me. I'm confident enough in what I like and what I don't. Your label, not going to affect me. I like what I like.
If I put it in a stein, would that work? Would just kind of do one of these things with it?
Yeah. Do what you want. If I'm judging you based on that, that says more about me than it does you. Mm-hmm. I do want to correct. It wasn't Zach Fowle, the communications guy at Four Peaks, that said, by any measure, summer 2020 has sucked. It was brewer Andy Ingram, who works at Four Peaks. So I just want to make sure I got that in there and credit the right source. But it to me, we have made an effort over the last year, Mike, to try different beers because this is our typical style. We love West Coast style IPAs like this 480G. We love them. But that doesn't mean we don't love other beers. So Lady Brewmance, my wife, is like, you guys drink a lot of IPAs. Maybe expand the palate a little bit. So we made a conscious effort to try to do that. In doing that, I found that I'm like, man, it's been good to revisit some old red ales or try some stouts or some porters that I don't typically do because I don't sit on my couch necessarily wanting to drink 3 porters. But having one on this show or 2 is phenomenal.
I had some prickly pear over at some prickly pear beer over at BRI. So you just expand the palate. But I want to get back to this real quick. Because as far as the pumpkin beers are concerned, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that it is just because summer sucked and it isn't a holiday creep kind of thing. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. I know that let's see here. So we're in August now. By the end of the month, I'm going to go into Lowe's or Home Depot and I'm going to see holiday stuff. And because those are the places I shop. I don't go to the malls. I go to Home Depot and Lowe's. I'm going to see Halloween and Christmas stuff there together, like the big blow ups, the obnoxious inflatables and whatnot. And it just bothers me. I'm like, guys, too soon. I'm not there yet. I know summer sucked in 2020, but I'm not into the Christmas vibe yet. I'm just not.
It's going to happen earlier this year, and I think the holidays are going to probably mean more this year because we're not doing as much. So Thanksgiving is going to creep early. Christmas is going to creep even earlier. Not only just for that reason, that like kind of the symbolic reason, but because I think retailers need the money. I mean, you brought up a statistic earlier in the week on Russell and Hunter, our afternoon show here on 550 KFYI, that, what is it, retail shopping
40.
centers are seeing a 40% decrease in spending and traffic.
Yeah, but then you have companies like Target that are virtue signaling and say, we're going to close on Thanksgiving Day because now it's more important than ever. But we're going to start our Christmas deals 3 weeks early and online. Okay, all right. So that's still holiday creep. It's just we're going to close down for one day where, most of the day we're virtually closed anyway. But yeah, it's going to keep going and going and going and going and going. But here's the deal. We win in this event. I don't care if Target does Christmas deals in July. I don't care because I don't shop. So I don't go anywhere to shop. I shop online. We're going to like Lowe's and Home Depot or Bass Pro Shops or something like that. But who am I kidding? I even shop there online. But if I can enjoy some pumpkin porter a couple months early, I'm in.
Why not?
It's all what's in it for me.
Well, but that's it. You just got to find the thing you like. And if something you don't like, you just say, I can't control it, so I'm just going to not do it. And that's okay, too. If other people like it, so what? What about this as an idea? So we appreciate the pumpkin porter.
Yes. Thank you for it, Pete.
Since it's felt like it's been oppressively hot on the last 3 weeks here in the Valley. We've been at, over 110 for 2 weeks in a row. So I
don't know. I've been hiding inside. Yeah.
And look, we get it. This is what we do. I mean, there was a few years ago, I can't remember the year, Mike, where we had, I think, 30 days in a row over 110. This is where this may tie in.
Okay, please.
The beer slushy. Ooh. Now, this is something that goes back to Japan. Japanese brewery Asahi unveiled the ice-cold beer, which was poured at 28 degrees Fahrenheit in 2010. And then Kirin did it. Their Ichiban Shibori frozen draft. And now a lot of craft brewers around the country and here in the U.S. are doing it as well. But they say you can make it at home. You just got to make it a little bit colder. So maybe put it in the freezer for a little bit, pull it out, and it's going to taste all nice and refreshing.
Just block it and put it in the Snoopy snow cone machine and just start just cranking away. But here's the deal. Rob and I have had that. And you can get over to our social media. Maybe I can. Maybe I'll share that before the show ends so people can see that. Is when Rob and I were in San Diego a couple years ago. The Sea Samurai, Kevin Nakata, he told us we have to go try a frozen Kirin. And I was like, okay, dude, how do you make Japanese beer good? It's okay. It tastes like beer.
Especially that.
If that's what you're looking for, just something that tastes like beer, Kirin's fine. But a frozen Kirin? And I'm thinking, and it was awesome. They actually had a frozen Kirin machine. So they'd pour most of the pint. And then they'd go over to the Kirin machine and kind of do the whole swirly thing with their hands as a board. And it was frozen Kirin on top of that made it look like a slushy. It was awesome. Yeah. It really was. It was okay, there's novelty to it, I get. But still, okay, good. If you're going to give me a mediocre beer, make it fun.
And that's exactly what this says. So we're looking at this article on this website called Insider. It says, lower alcohol beers freeze the best. And hoppy beers like this one here from the Beer Research Institute, our beer of the week, not so much because it becomes a lot more bitter when it's frozen. So your best bet is to go with like a light beer, a Kirin, a Coors, something of that man, or maybe like a Helton Pilsner or something like that.
Well, wait a second though. Okay, so say that again. So the IPA is not so much because it does what?
Becomes unpalatably bitter.
I don't know about unpalated. You have not seen this palate, okay?
Yeah.
You have not attempted. So I might try it because I want that. I want to try. I want, like I guess talking to the guys at BRI, I wanted to split my tongue in half. I want it to be that bitter. I eat you. So I eat salads usually for lunch. Rob can attest to that.
Yep.
I do eat salads for lunch. And I did find this bag salad that is a dill pickle salad.
Nice.
I can't wait because I want that just right. So, yeah, I'm going to try the IPA frozen style.
All right. Well, that's good because I don't know that I think I've done it sort of by accident.
Oh, we've all done it by accident.
You've got the 12-pack you just bought at the store and it's like lukewarm or, somewhat cold. And you're like, I don't want to wait because I want a beer now. And you put it in the freezer and you forget. You're like, oh, it's a little bit slushy.
Okay.
It does. It brings out the bitterness more, if I can remember correctly.
My family is into timers because we do that all the time. Because if beer's not super, super cold, we're not big fans.
Yeah.
We're not junkies. We're like, I don't care. Just give it to me. I don't care if it's warm. We want it cold and want it the right way. So when we put it in the freezer, beep, Siri, remind me to pull the beer out of the freezer in 15 minutes.
Smart.
Every single time you do that, tell your little reminder, boom, go. Timers are huge.
That's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can test how long you put it in to see where the slushy temperature gets it exactly right.
Well, we found that window. It's 10 to 20 minutes. 20 minutes is too much. It's good. You're done. So we usually do a 10 to 15 minutes, depending on where it is. If it's straight out of the box and not even been refrigerated, then obviously more. But then if it's from the store, about 10 to 12 minutes is soups.
I love it. It's a good starting place. Now, if you want to add ice cream, you probably want to grab like a stout or an IPA. That might be good with ice cream, too.
1554 from New Belgium is one of the best ice cream floats you'll ever have. That and vanilla ice cream, fantastic.
Mike dropping the knowledge on you. This is the Brewmance on the radio. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. In a moment, we're going to talk about California. They got a new rule about beer in that state. It requires you to buy something else if you're buying a beer in public. We'll tell you all about it. And COVID-19 related closures as well. That's up next right here on 550 KFYI.
Hey, the rules don't have to apply to you if you are connected. Welcome to Brewmance on the radio. He's Rob Hunter. I'm Mike Russell. Arizona's only craft beer radio show. Each and every week we gather around a beer of the week, a local beer of the week, and this one is fantastic. Rob, tell them all about it. Hit it.
Beer Research Institute's 480G, in homage to the area code of the 480 where they brew their beer, Mesa/Gilbert's. At least that's their home base. I first came across this beer, the 480G, in a bar. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you exactly why, because it has hip-hop ties, and it's my favorite part right here on the
back. Go for it, yes.
Because, when I used to buy old gangster rap albums, it used to come with this parental advisory. This one has a gangster hop advisory, excessive content.
Love it.
So well played out there, BRI. We just met with them earlier this week, had a fantastic time over there with Brandon and Matt. So we encourage you to go out. Gilbert, Mesa, Stapley in the 60. Go say hi.
This is a lot for me because I'm a 623 guy. I am out in the West Valley, which, the 480s. The 480s tend to thumb their nose at the West Valley guys a lot, quite a bit. And I would even say the 602 peeps. It'd be 602, 480. Ew, the 623 guys.
Mostly because we don't want to drive over there.
It's not drive over there. It's the same distance going out to the 480 for you, man. It's the same thing.
That's why I live in the middle. I'm straight up 602 guy. I live right in the middle. Split the difference. That way I can say I like the west side and I like the east side.
But that's it. So for a 623 guy to look at 480G beer and go, this is something I want to try. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying. Took a little bit. It just took a little bit. This West Valley guys. But when we did meet with the BRI guys, I caught a nice flight back to my house. So just took minutes to get there. It was fantastic.
It's good to be connected like Mike Russell.
Talk about connected.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Governor Gavin Newsom, California, if you know this, owns a winery. Like you do. He owns a winery. So is it really odd to you to hear that in California, to buy a beer from a restaurant or any type of establishment, you have to buy food?
And this is a new rule. It was an executive order that came out last month, so in July.
If you want wine, let's go and have some wine.
No rule.
No rules at all.
Mm-hmm.
Only if you want to buy beer, which would be in direct competition to the governors and a certain representative named Nancy Pelosi. If you are going against their wineries.
Here's, by the way, I just want to give you the tidbit. This is actually a true story. Governor Gavin Newsom, California's governor, he owns stock in Plump Jack Group, which includes a winery in Napa Valley's Oakville. Now, while most of the state was closed, that winery is still open for tasting.
That's right.
Newsom and his wife own shares in that group that overall produced a combined salary of $600,000 in 2018. So this is an actual tie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you dig into it, you start to wonder. Now, there's no necessary proof because they didn't write down, keep the wineries open because I own one. But if you see that, if you wanted to go to a bar, as our governor calls them, or a pub, which again, who calls them pubs? No one calls them pubs anymore. But nonetheless, if I wanted to order this in the state of California, mm-hmm. I would have to order like a sandwich or some type of meal with it, because what they want you to do, they're trying to force you to do in California, is sit down and drink it rather than mingle, saying that spreads the COVID more than sitting down in the chair and eating a meal. But if you just have a wine, you go to a wine bar, you can still mingle.
Because COVID non-existent in the wine bars.
Yeah.
Yes, it's immune to the COVID when you're having the wine, because apparently wine is the cure for COVID.
Yeah, and not to get off on the COVID tangent, but in order for me to believe this, you'd have to prove to me that the beer drinkers are the sole source or the main source of spreading the virus through California.
But to say, not to get into the COVID thing, I mean, it's our world at this point. We are submersed in COVID right now, whether it's the craft beer industry, whether it's the political industry, politics, excuse me, or it's the wine industry. Doesn't matter. Everybody's involved in the COVID, and we're dealing with different states doing different shutdowns, and kids going back to school, and people drinking too much, and we're all in this together right now, and it seems more and more so each and every day. But those that are surviving, like here in Arizona, where our governor shut down bars in an arbitrary way, just shut them down. He took liquor licenses away from Lifetime Fitness.
Right.
So yes, there are ties here. We're not trying to get political. This is what it is. We're under control of people that can pick and choose winners. Governor Newsom in California, obviously picking the winners, his industry, which him and his wife are making $600K a year.
How else do you come up with that conclusion? Because beer and wine go hand in hand. They're served the same way that people like to hang out and drink wine. I've been to plenty of wine bars. I've been to plenty of craft beer bars. It's literally the same thing. It's just sometimes you hold a glass of beer or a can of beer or a glass of wine. And you still mingle around and you're holding your wine or your beer.
Sure.
So it literally doesn't make any sense other than that. And again, there's no necessary proof that that's the reason, but there doesn't necessarily have to be proof. All you know is that beer is being treated one way, wine is being treated a different way.
So this goes right to what we're dealing with this week. Here in the state of Arizona, our kids are going back to school, okay? And one of the reasons that I've been freaking out as a parent is I know the emotional toll that this emotional damage that this is doing to my kids, not being able to get back to school. It's the same thing with the bars and the social connection for adults at restaurants and bars and the like. Like this, the damage that this is doing, not only to enterprise, not small businesses, our basically the tax health of our state, the revenue in potential for our state, and the future ramifications, unless the Fed's going to jump in. But for us, for Rob, for me, for Lady Brewmance, for my wife, for Sister Brew, for like everybody, we this was part of our life. We'd go to a bar and just hang out and talk. We'd go to a bar and hang out and not talk. And at the same time, all of our tanks are being filled for this communal. We're a communal species, so we want to be together. So when we hear that certain things are shut down, certain things are being allowed, and certain things are being or discouraged, at least in California, that even gets at you a little more.
Yeah.
Like, not only can we not go out and blow off steam, usually we'd be able to say, hear what these idiots are doing in California, and just kind of vent about it a little bit. Say, man, I'm glad that's not happening here. Dang it, it's happening here. I want to vent about it a little more. We can't. And that is some there's long-term ramifications there, and it's not okay.
And we're starting to see the impact as far as businesses go, because there's a report here that a couple of breweries across the country, craft breweries, are closing. So Somerville Brewing, which is just outside of Boston, is permanently closed because of COVID. And a place I went to when I went to Portland, Base Camp, I went to Portland 4 years ago, and this was a great place. Base Camp Brewing was like a cool vibe, a good space. They're closing their doors tomorrow. And it's just unfortunate to see, because it's literally because of shutdowns and because of how governments have responded to a virus that we have run and hid from. And now we're costing people jobs. And the part that sticks out to me as we're a small business owner is you put your blood, sweat, and tears into creating a small business. Particularly if you buy a building, you buy brew tanks, you make beer, and it's not because you're not selling beer, it's because of a virus and because of how we and governments have responded to the virus that have cost you that opportunity.
Let's say Rob and I were to think about maybe a tap room, something like that, because trust me, if you know us, we're not smart enough to brew this kind of awesomeness. We're saying there's too much science.
Drink it all.
So we think if there was a tap room in our future, what kind of conversations do you think we've been having in the past few weeks? Yeah. Do we want to get into a business that can be shut down like that, can be shut down arbitrarily by the government? Do we want to get into a already highly taxed industry and a very razor thin margin type of industry where we can be closed down temporarily? We close down indefinitely, like the Bears here in Arizona are closed down indefinitely. We don't know when they're going to be able to open up. Do we get into that business? Is that a smart business model? Maybe it's been our dream for 10 years, the 12 years that we've known each other. Maybe that's been our dream. Now it's on hold,
right?
Or maybe never come to fruition. So that, by the way, we're not the only ones thinking like that. And that even on the worst part of that, there are people going, why did we do this? Why did we get into a business where the government can just shut us down?
Or why does the government have that much power to shut things down to begin with?
There you go.
You know, and there's different ways to obviously look at that part of it. But we love to brag about how we're a free country and we can do what we want. But when you look at it, you really can't, because the government has a lot of power to,
Well, you can until.
Well, sure.
You can do what you want until.
And then until it happens, what happens next? That is the major question. In a moment, when the Brewmance on the radio continues, we wrap up the show with good news, reviewing this week's Beer of the Week, Beer Research Institute's 480G. It's a West Coast style IPA. We will tell you all about it, whether or not we recommend that you try it. I feel pretty confident that we're going to tell you that.
You might want to start driving over there right now. Just go ahead. Just start your drive. We're telling you to go get it. We'll give you a score later.
Exactly. That's coming up next right here on 550 KFY. Mississippi has to change their flag. Why not put beer on the state flag? We love the idea. Of course we do. It's the Brewmance on the radio. Thank you for hanging out with us here on 550 KFY. My name is... I was in my head like, his name is... But
I'm Mike Russell.
It
says it right here on the video, right there. See, Mike Russell.
By the way, we do put a video up for you on our Facebook page. Just go to Facebook and look for the Brewmance, or it's on YouTube as well. Just type into YouTube, the Brewmance. You will find us. My name is Rob Hunter. His name is Mike Russell, also known as Russell and Hunter here on 550 KFY. Each week we have a beer of the week. We're going to review this beer, local beer, made right here in Mesa, Arizona. BRI, also known as the Beer Research Institute, which is, by the way, a phenomenal name for a brewery. We research beer at this institute. This is their 480G West Coast IPA.
My wife did ask. She goes, okay, now let me just be sure here. Is it really a research institute or is it just a brewery? And I'm like, little both.
Yeah. I wonder if they get a special tax incentive because they're researching
that'd be smart
stuff.
I wouldn't pass by Matt. He's smart, dude.
Well, because what they told us, we were just there this week. We went for a visit, and they told us, reminded us really, there's federal tax on beer when you make it. And there's state tax on beer, and then there's local tax and sales tax. So you're like, awesome. So good idea. Let's tax beer. Why? Because the government likes money.
Because, yes.
Government's the greediest thing ever, by the way. So you want to talk about Gordon Gekko? Greed is good. The government thinks that, so whatever. It's another side.
That was a fantastic speech.
It was a fantastic speech. I just watched it the other day. I was looking for
Wall Street?
I didn't watch the movie. I just watched that speech. I was looking for a monologue.
Oh, okay.
I needed an example of that.
Yeah.
More on that later. So let's go back to Mississippi. So the Mississippi state flag had the stars and bars.
Yeah.
Sorry. Don't get me started on it. I don't get it. I never understood Confederate. I don't know. I'm not a Confederate guy. I grew up in the Northeast. That's probably why I have a bias. But mostly it's because
your team didn't lose?
Yeah, they lost.
Okay.
I don't understand why you want to celebrate the losing. But nonetheless, they're going to change their flag. So people got to submit ideas. And beer was one of the ideas.
For a new flag, baby. Elvis Presley,
crawfish.
Gulf Coast Lighthouse, and Kermit the Frog.
Yes.
Kermit was the boss, the OG boss. He was the boss.
Was he from Mississippi?
I don't know. No.
But why would they put Kermit?
No, trust me. No, Jim Henson was, I think it was the Northeast Coast, hippie OG number one.
Made millions.
Let's put a V behind that.
Kermit the Frog, Leland, Mississippi.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. How about that?
What? I did not know that.
Huh.
So there you go. With beer shows. Right, you learned the Kermit the Frog came from Mississippi. Had no idea.
I think Jim Henson might actually be from Mississippi as well.
Or maybe
he was born in Leland, Mississippi. So it's a homage to Jim Henson.
I love it. Right? And Jim Henson, by the way, don't sleep on Jim Henson. Let me tell you something. Do some research and find out what that guy did. I mean, it was Sesame Street. Forget about it. Not even tip of the iceberg. Jim Henson changed our culture.
Yeah.
Jim Henson was it. Like George Lucas kind of changed culture. Like, I mean, think of anybody who had this impact. Bill Gates. That kind of changed us as a nation. Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Yeah.
But I love it. I would love to see Kermit holding a beer. I think that is the best win.
I'm going to find that.
State flag.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well,
that's my idea. I'm going with that one.
Let me noodle on that a little bit.
It also just goes to show you, we talk about this quite a bit here on the Brewmance. We also have a podcast for you. It's separate from this radio show. It's different. We discuss different things. We have different people on. We'd love it if you checked it out on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcast. That, beer is really the backbone of this country. When the Pilgrims came over here, they had more beer and wine on the Mayflower than they did water because, as Mike mentioned earlier in the show, if you caught it, we couldn't drink water back then because it was filled with contaminants.
Gross.
We hadn't figured out how to filter it yet. So everybody got loaded all the time. So it's a foundational element of America.
Right. Absolutely it is.
Yeah.
This is what, and like I've said over and over again, no matter what happens in our world, whatever happens in our nation, beer has always stood the test of time.
True story.
And speaking about great monologues, how about James Earl Jones and Field of Dreams talking about baseball like a steamroller? Remember this? A fantastic monologue about baseball. Beer's the same thing. It stood the test of time. It stood every challenge. It helped us through a lot of those challenges. I'm not saying that tongue in cheek. I mean, serious.
Yep.
Beer helped us through. Beer was a cornerstone of our nation's founding. And it basically gave our forefathers the courage to do what they did.
No question about it.
Yeah, that's right. A little liquid courage. Nothing wrong with that,
Take
buddy.
that, Britain.
That's right.
What about this other one here?
No, I'll tell you this, because no one knows what day it is.
Correct.
Coronavirus, nobody knows what day it is. Like my kids' school started on a Wednesday. I'm like, what? Start on a Wednesday? Who starts on a Wednesday? Oh, it's Wednesday already? Okay, first day of school. That's about all I have.
Get up and get your laptop and get ready.
That's about it. And a great way to kind of get over that, get past that, feeling like you live in a casino, you don't know what time it is, anytime's a good time for a drink, and you never know what day it is, are the days. Like, hey, it's National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day.
Yeah.
Hey, it's National IPA Day. It's Global Cat Day. Whatever it is, finding those days and finding those little celebrations in those days really help out a ton. And, today's National Stout Day. Great. I want to go find a stout. Let me get over and grab a stout, and I'll do a little something for the gram. Got a stout, and I have a nice stout, and it just kind of gets you through this time. I love the idea.
Yeah, because every day is something. If you've ever looked at the National Registry of Days,
every day.
It's got multiple options for you.
Every day is something.
So we're going to come up with the National Brewmance Day just for you.
It's not, by the way, it's not that hard.
No,
it's not that hard to have a day. You just have to have somebody in the know that says they know that they can make that the day.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Speaking of get to know, we got to know the fine people at the Beer Research Institute.
Yes, we did.
Mesa, Arizona, stapling in the 60 if you're here locally in the Valley. Definitely go check them out because they have the greatest, amongst the greatest anyways, the beer names.
Oh, absolutely.
Like taxation is theft, which we talked about as to why, because the federal government has some, the state has some, Gilbert and Mesa has some. Everybody got a little hand in the pie when it comes to taking the beer.
Yes.
This is their 480G. So OG, original gangsta, 480, the obviously area code here in the East Valley. And they've got the parental advisory sticker that they've made. Gangster, hop, advisory, excessive content.
One moment. Because as you were saying that, I had to flip through my list of days. Today is August 8th, I believe, correct?
Yeah.
Sneak some zucchini onto your neighbor's porch day. This is a list.
That's the dumbest day ever. If we're going to have a day defined by a thing.
Tomorrow is National Polka Day. And then Monday's National Lazy Day. Presidential Joke Day. Middle Child Day. It's Sister Brewmance.
Look at that.
I'll celebrate with
Which is, by the way, a modern phenomenon, newer phenomenon, right?
Yes.
In your family.
Yes, it is. Yes, like, when we discovered we have Big Brother. So, and then all of it, my older sister, I was thinking, well, this all makes sense. She's a middle child. This whole time she's been a middle child. Yes,
now
it all makes sense.
Yep.
All right, let's get back to that. I digress. Squirrel. Yes, 48 OG West Coast style IPA. And talking with Matt was talking about the West Coast style. He's talking about the West Coast style in one of the kind of his own personal stash beers. It was a hazy, but it held on to, it was like a hazy, New England hazy / West Coast IPA. Like it had that haze, little thickness, that chunk to it, but then it had that bite. This has all bite.
Yep.
Every kind of bite that I want in an IPA. I think this beer is fantastic. I love it, love it, love it. I didn't have it when we were there. I'm glad we had this as the beer of the week. Let me tell you something, Rob. I haven't done this except for one beer. Nueve.
Yeah.
This hits a 9 on my it lives up to every single part of the branding, which you know is important to me. When I see it on the can, my mind's eye tells my taste buds this is what that's going to taste like because this is what's being billed and this is what it looks like. It is exactly what I would want it to be. West Coast IPA and just gangsta because it says gangsta.
Let me talk about gangsta. First time I saw it, I was at, I think it was a small place. And I saw a picture of Eazy-E. And I saw 48 OG. And I was like, I'm getting that. I don't care. And it turned out to be this, the Beer Research Institute 48 OG, because it's kind of a shout-out homage to West Coast hip-hop, which, again, West Coast hip-hop came on the scene like an assault.
Yes.
Like kind of a bitter
literally
beer
and
wood.
Figuratively. Yes,
exactly right. And that's what Eazy stood for. So I fell in love with the beer at that moment, and I know that you haven't had one yet, so this is the beer we decided to pick for this week. I've been a 9 all day. I've been a 9 for years on this beer.
That's great.
Because I've never given a 10. I mean, that means it's in the top echelon of beers, not only made here in the state of Arizona, but made anywhere in this country. So if we both give it a 9, that means get yourself a 48 OG from BRI, because if you are a hophead, if you're a West Coast IPA, this is as true as a West Coast IPA is.
I mean, it is so true to form and so true to billing and so true to branding. You're like I said, when you see it in your mind's eye, kind of thinks what that beer should taste like, it crushes it. And it delivers on every sip. And I'm just a great job, guys. Fantastic job. Can't wait to get back out there.
Yep.
Can't wait to have more of the beers.
We got to get out of here. We can't wait for our next show next week, 6 p.m. right here on 550 KFY Saturday night. Check the podcast out. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram at _Brewmance as well. Until next week, enjoy your beers. Enjoy your week.
Cheers, everybody.
Yeah. Woke up quick at about noon. Just thought that I had to be in Compton soon. Easy.